Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14. Not my history, not my failure, not the years I feel I have wasted, not the doors that closed before me, not the diagnosis, not the fear in my heart, not the broken places in my life, not the dream that looks dead. Nothing is too hard for the Lord. When it feels too far gone, when the answer feels delayed, when the weight of what I carry makes it hard enough to pray, I will hear the voice of mercy speaking life over my soul. What looks sealed in human hands is still open unto God. I will not call it over, I will not bury hope. The God who spoke creation still knows how to move. Miracles still happen, my God is still the same. What He did in days before me, He can do for me again. And mountains still can move, dead things live again. I will not fear the impossible. Miracles still happen. Not my past mistakes, not my present pain, not the waiting season, not the shame, not the sorrow, not my midnight tears, not the voice that told me nothing good can happen here. If God has spoken, it will stand. When the doctor gives no comfort, when the money is not there, when my house feels full of pressure, when I'm worn down by despair, heaven has not changed its language. God has not forgotten me. What looks late to human timing is still right on time with Him. So I will stay expectant, I will keep my faith alive. The God who raised the dead still works in perfect time. Miracles still happen, my God is still the same. What He did in days before me, He can do for me again. Mountains still can move, dead things live again. I will not fear the impossible. Miracles still happen. I know that Thou canst do everything. Job 42:2. He can heal what has been broken. He can raise what looked gone. He can breathe into the ashes and turn mourning into song. He can open what was closed up. He can restore what pain has stolen. He can do what no man can, for nothing is too hard for Him. Miracles still happen, my God is still the same. What He did in days before me, He can do for me again. Mountains still can move, dead things live again. I will still performs miracles. He still moves. He still heals. Miracles still happen. Nothing is too hard for the Lord. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. Revelation 3:8. Not every closed door means no. Not every delay means denial. Not every rejection means I was forgotten. Not every shut place means my story is over. What God has appointed for me will not pass me by. The door He has for me will open in His time. I have stood before closed doors, knocked with tired hands. I have prayed through disappointment, tried to somehow understand. But rejection is not final, and delay is not the end. What God spoke above my future will not fail because of men. I will not call it over just because it closed. If God says I am opening, no power can say no. God still opens closed doors. He still makes a way. What was shut by fear and favor cannot stop His hand today. He still holds the right key. He still knows my name when His time arrives for me. The door will swing open wide. Not the no I heard, not the door I lost, not the place I wept over, not the cost, not the waiting, not the pain, not the pain, not the ones who turn me down. If God has written yes above my life, what He spoke will still come around. Some doors close to protect me, some doors close to prepare. Some were never meant to hold me, though I cried and left them there. But the hand that shaped my calling has not lost the path for me, and the door He has appointed will not miss its hour with me. So I will stay courageous. I will not throw faith away. What God promised for my future still has power today. God still opens closed doors. He still makes a way. What was shut by fear and favor cannot stop His hand today. He still holds the right key. He still knows my name when His time arrives for me. The door will swing open wide. He shall open, and none shall shut. Isaiah 22:22. No man can close what God has opened. No night can hide what God has chosen. No force of hell can block His word. The door will open at His command. God still opens closed doors. He still makes a way. What was shut by fear and favor cannot stop His hand today. He still holds the right key. He still opens closed doors. He still makes a way. He still makes a way. He still makes a way. For I know the plans I have for you, saith the Lord, to give you an expected end. Jeremiah 29:11. Not my tears, not my losses, not the nights I thought would break me, not the doors that never opened, not the years that feel delayed, not the pain I cannot explain, not the place where I almost gave up. My future is still in God's hands. There is still hope for me. When my heart feels almost empty, when my strength is wearing thin, when the road has felt much longer than the faith I started with, I will hear the voice of mercy speaking life over my soul. What feels buried in the sorrow is not buried unto God. I am not too broken, I am not too late. The hand that holds tomorrow still holds me today. There is still hope for me, there is still light ahead. What the sorrow tried to bury will not stay among the dead. There is still grace to hold me, there is still strength to stand. The God who writes new stories still has my life in His hands. Not my failure, not my weakness, not the shame I tried to carry, not the voice that said it's over, not the fear that followed me, not the grief that covered me. If God still speaks over my life, then this is not the end of me. I will not measure all my future by the tears I cried last night. I will not judge my final chapter by this present fight. He restores what pain has stolen, He rebuilds what fear broke down, and the one who felt forgotten can still wear a crown. So I will lift my eyes again, I will lift my heart again. This is not the end for me, God still calls me friend. There is still hope for me, there is still light ahead. What the sorrow tried to bury will not stay among the dead. There is still grace to hold me, there is still strength to stand. The God who writes new stories still has my life in His hands. And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten. Hope for my weary heart, hope for my wounded soul, hope for the places in me that still need to be made whole. Hope for the nights I cried, hope for the strength I need. The God who still restores is still breathing life in me. There is still hope for me, there is still light ahead. there is still hope. Still hope for me. God is not finished. Still hope for me. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God. Not this pain, not this delay, not this confusion, not this weight, not what I lost, not what I feared, not the tears I cried in secret all these years. This will not end in sorrow. This will not stay like this. God will turn this around. When the pressure feels unending, when the answer has not come, when I do not see the future and I feel undone, I will not bow to what surrounds me. I will not call this story closed. The hand of God is still upon me, and He is still in control. What I cannot understand, He already knows. What feels broken in my hands, He can still restore. He will turn this around. He will turn this around. What has weighed upon my spirit will not always hold me down. He will speak into the ashes. He will call new life forth now. What looks heavy in this moment, He will turn this around. Not the closed door, not the bad report, not the long waiting, not the short support, not the fear I wake up with, not the nights I cried alone. If God is still the God of mercy, then this will not stay undone. I have seen Him bring from ruins something beautiful again. I have seen Him heal what looked like it would never rise again. So I will stand inside the tension, and I will trust beyond the pain. The same God who kept me breathing still knows how to make a way. What was meant to break me will not have the final word. The God who holds tomorrow still moves here in the air. He will turn this around. Oh, He will turn this around. What has weighed upon my spirit will not always hold me down. He will speak into the ashes. He will call new life forth now. What looks heavy in this moment, He will turn this around. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. He can lift the sorrow. He can heal the pain. He can speak one word and break the heaviest chain. He can turn the mourning into joy again. He will turn this around. He will turn this around. Oh, He will turn this around. What has weighed upon my spirit will not always hold me down. He will speak into the ashes. He will call new life forth now. What looks heavy in this moment, He will turn this around. He will turn this around. And I will live to see the goodness of the Lord who still works wonders will turn this around. He will turn this around. He will turn this around. He healeth the broken in heart, and bindeth up their wounds. Not what broke me, not what crushed me, not what shattered my confidence, not what stole my peace, not what fell apart in my hands, not what left me wounded, not what looked like the end. What was broken will rise again. There were pieces of my story I did not know how to hold. There were places in my spirit that felt tired, cracked, and cold. But the God who heals the broken still knows how to breathe again. What looked lost beneath the sorrow can still live again in Him. I will not call it finished, I will not call it dead. The one who speaks to dry bones still raises what has bled. What was broken will rise again. What was wounded will breathe again. What the sorrow tried to bury will not stay there in the end. Grace is moving through the ruins. Hope is speaking life again. What was broken will rise again. Not the failed attempt, not the wasted years, not the trust I lost, not the hidden tears, not the part of me that pain tried to destroy. The hand of God is still on me, and I will rise again. I have learned that resurrection does not always come with noise. Sometimes God restores in silence, steady, patient, deep, and sure. And though I may still feel the scar tissue, though I may still feel the ache, healing is not gone from me. God is still making a way. The places that were fractured are still held inside His hand, and what I could not put together, He still can. What was broken will rise again. What was wounded will breathe again. What the sorrow tried to bury will not stay there in the end. Grace is moving through the ruins. Hope is speaking life again. What was broken will rise again. Behold, I make all things new. Revelation 21:5. He can lift the fallen, He can mend the torn, He can speak to sleeping promise and call it to be born. He can heal the places I thought would never mend. What was broken will rise again. What was broken, what was wounded will breathe again. where I are. What looked ended in my sorrow will not stay beneath the pain. The mercy of the Lord upon me will raise me up again. Will rise again. Will rise again. Will rise again. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Not this delay, not this silence, not this waiting season, not this heaviness, not the prayers I have repeated, not the nights I have cried, not the fear that says it's over. My answer is not too far. For I have waited through the questions, I have waited through the ache, I have waited while the silence made my heart begin to shake. But the God who wrote the promise has not changed his mind on me. What feels distant in the natural is still near in eternity. What he spoke will find me, what he wrote will stand. His delay is not denial, my life is in his hands. My answer is not too far. My breakthrough is not too late. What I've carried in the waiting will not always feel this way. He is moving even now, though I cannot see it yet. The God who still remembers me has not missed my moment yet. Not one prayer lost, not one tear unseen, not one promise buried, not one broken dream, not one cry wasted, not one hope denied. The God who hears me in the waiting is still working on my side. If the answer has not reached me, that does not mean it will not come. If the door has not yet opened, that does not mean that it is done. He has perfect times and seasons, he has wisdom over all, and what he plans to place before me will not fail to reach my door. So I will keep on trusting, I will keep my heart awake. What God has written for me will not come too late. My answer is not too far. My breakthrough is not too late. What I've carried in the waiting will not always feel this way. He is moving even now, though I cannot see it yet. The God who still remembers me has not missed my moment yet. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It will surely come. It is coming. It is near. The answer to my waiting will still appear. What God has spoken will not fall apart. My answer is not too far. My answer is He's not too far. At midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God. Acts 16:25. Not this midnight hour, not this heavy night, not the silence around me, not the fear inside, not the tears I have cried in darkness, not the battle I cannot explain, not the prison I feel around me. God still moves at midnight. When the night feels never ending, when my prayers feel weak and worn, when the dark sits heavy on me and I cannot see the dawn, I will still believe in mercy. I will still call on His name, because the God who moves in darkness still has power in this place. He is not afraid of midnight. He is not delayed by night. What looks darkest in the moment still can't break before His light. He still moves at midnight. He still breaks the chains. He still steps into the dark and turns mourning into praise. He still hears me crying. He still knows my need. The God who moved at midnight still moves for me. Not the closed room, not the sleepless hours, not the fear that follows me, not the weight that presses down, not the tears on my pillow, not the ache in my chest. If God still moves at midnight, then this night will not defeat me. I have seen Him meet the weary. I have seen Him bring release. I have seen Him touch the hardest places and still speak peace. So I will not surrender hope now. I will not call this night my end. The same God who shook the prison still knows how to step in. He is not asleep in heaven. He is not far from me. What He did in chains and darkness, He can do again for me. He still moves at midnight. He still breaks the chains. He still steps into the dark and turns mourning into praise. He still hears me crying. He still knows my need. The God who moved at midnight still moves for me. And suddenly, there was a great earthquake, and immediately all the doors were opened. Acts 16:26. He can shake the prison, He can break the chain, He can step into my midnight and turn it all again. He can open every closed place. He can make the captives free. The God who moved at midnight still moves for me. He still moves at midnight. He still moves at midnight. He still breaks the chain. He still moves at midnight. He still breaks the chains. He still moves at midnight. He still moves for me. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it. Not this delay, not this waiting, not the time that feels too long, not the prayers I keep repeating, not the silence in between, not the fear that says I missed it, not the ache of standing still. This delay will not defeat me. I have waited through the tension, I have waited through the ache, I have stood in unanswered moments, trying not to break. But delay is not destruction, and silence is not the end. The God who writes appointed seasons still knows how and where and when. What is late to me is not late to Him. The one who holds tomorrow still knows where I have been. This delay will not defeat me. This waiting will not break me. What God has spoken over me will not fail or leave me empty. I will not bow to silence. I will not sink in fear. The God who keeps His promises is still working here. Not the months I lost, not the years I fear, not the unanswered prayers, not the hidden tears, not the waiting room, not the shut down dream. The hand of God is still upon me. This delay will not defeat me. I may not know the hour yet, I may not see the turning now, but heaven is not confused about me, and mercy still knows how. He is not weakened by the waiting. He is not shaken by the years. What He has written for my future will still reach me here. So I will stay believing, I will keep my oil bright. The God who speaks in promise still brings vision into sight. This delay will not defeat me. This waiting will not break me. What God has spoken over me will not fail or leave me empty. I will not bow to silence. I will not sink in fear. The God who keeps His promises is still working here. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will come, it will stand. What God wrote for me is still in His hands. It will rise, it will be. This delay will not defeat me. This delay will not defeat me. This waiting will not break me. What God has spoken over and over me will not fail or leave me empty. promises will not leave me behind, will not defeat me, will not defeat me. He is still working here. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. Not this heaviness, not this fear, not the sorrow that has followed me, not the voices in my ear, not the place I thought was empty, not the road that has been hard. Grace is still looking for me. Mercy still knows where I are. I have walked through weary places, places full of ache and strain. I have wondered if the kindness of God would still find me again. But mercy has not lost my address. Grace has not forgotten where I am. And what feels dry beneath my footsteps is still known by His hand. I can feel the shift now, I can feel it near. The goodness of the Lord is still moving here. Grace is about to find me. Mercy is on the way. What I fear would overtake me will not have the final say. The hand of God is near me. His favor has not passed me by. Grace is about to find me. Mercy is on my side. Not the shame I carried, not the tears I hid, not the nights I broke down quietly, not the pain I lived with, not the burden in my chest, not the fear I could not flee. If goodness and mercy still follow me, then grace is about to find me. I do not need to see the whole road to know that God is here. I do not need to know the hour to know He's drawing near. What looked delayed in sorrow can still turn in holy time. And what I feared had passed me by can still become mine. So I will stay expectant, I will keep my heart awake. The God whose mercy follows me still knows the path I take. Grace is about to find me. Mercy is on the to find me. Mercy is on my side. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. Psalm 23:6. Grace in the waiting, grace in the pain, grace in the place where I cried in vain. Mercy still follows, mercy still sees. Grace is about to find me. Mercy is on my side. Grace is about to find me. Mercy is on my side. So shall my word be. It shall not return unto me void. Not the voices around me, not the fear inside me, not the pressure against me, not the delay before me, not the doubt that followed me, not the doors that shut on me. If heaven has spoken over my life, then what God said will stand. I have heard too many whispers trying to tell me I should quit. I have felt the weight of waiting, trying to make me bury it. But the word of God above me still has power where I stand. What He wrote into my story will not fail in human hands. What He spoke is living, what He said is sure. What was born in heaven still will endure. What heaven has spoken will stand. What God has promised will live. What He started over my life will not fail, will not quit. Though the battle still surrounds me, though I do not see it yet, what heaven has spoken will stand. I will not forget. Not my weakness, not my tears, not the pain of all these years, not the shaking, not the fight, not the sorrow in the night. If God has spoken over me, then His word will still remain. The earth may shift beneath my feet, the timing may not look the same, but the God who speaks with wisdom does not tremble, does not change. So I will stand inside His promise, even when I do not understand, because what was written over me still stands in His hand. What He said is faithful, what He wrote is true. The word that came from heaven will still break through. What heaven has spoken will stand. What God has promised will live. What He started over my life will not fail, will not quit. Though the battle still surrounds me, though I do not see it yet, what heaven has spoken will stand. I will not forget. It shall accomplish that which I please. Isaiah 55:11. His word still lives, His word still breathes, His word still reaches places I cannot see. What God spoken will not fall apart. His word still stands over me. What heaven has spoken will stand. What God has promised will live. What He started over my life will not fail, will not quit. Though the battle still surrounds me, though I do not see it yet, what heaven has spoken will stand. I will not forget. What heaven has spoken will stand, and I will keep believing still. The word that came from heaven's heart will not return unfulfilled. What He declared above my future will outlive the doubt again. What heaven has spoken will stand. It will stand. Amen. It will stand. It will stand. Heaven has spoken. Will stand. What heaven has spoken will stand. With God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Not this mountain, not this wall, not this thing that looks too great for me, not this battle, not this fear, not the thing that says it will not move. What stands too high before me will still bow before my God. I have seen what looks impossible standing like a giant in my way. I have felt the weight of questions trying to shake my faith. But the God who made the heavens still has power in His hands. And what looks too hard for people still must bow before His name. I will not call it master, I will not call it king. The God I serve is greater than this impossible thing. The impossible will bow, the mountain will come down. What stood against my promise will not hold me captive now. The hand of God is on me, His power speaks somehow. What looks impossible before me will still bow. Not this sickness, not this loss, not this fear that followed me across, not this pressure, not this shame, not the thing that called my faith by name. If God still sits in glory, then this impossible will bow. I do not need to know the method, I only need to know my God. I do not need to see the pathway to trust the one who leads me on. The thing that has resisted mercy will not stand forever here, because the God who still does wonders before me will still bow. For with God all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Bow to his power, bow to his name, bow every giant that rose in my way, bow every stronghold, bow every chain. The impossible will bow, the impossible will bow. The mountain will come down. What stood against my promise will not hold me captive now. The hand of God is on me. His power speaks somehow. What looks impossible before me will still bow. The impossible will bow. And I will not fear again. The God who still performs his wonders has not changed and will not end. What was too hard for human hands still bends before him now. What looks impossible before me will still bow. Will still bow. Will still bow. The impossible will bow. Believe ye that I am able to do this? Matthew 9:28. Not this waiting, not this ache, not this silence in the middle of my faith, not the fear that says it's over, not the voice that says too late, not the weariness I'm carrying. My miracle is on the way. I have cried through long nights waiting. I have stood through heavy days. I have prayed what felt like endless prayers and still looked up in faith. Though I have not seen it fully, though the answer has not come, the God who hears the brokenhearted still has not forgotten one. I will not let go now. I will still believe what God has written for my story still will reach me. My miracle is on the way. My answer is not far. What God has spoken over me will still become what He declared. Though I wait in faith and trembling, though I have not seen it yet, the hand of God is moving now. My miracle is on the way. Not the delay, not the pain, not the years that feel like loss again, not the tears, not the ache, not the dream that felt too late. If God still breathes on promises, then my miracle is on the way. What looks silent is not empty. What looks late is not denied. The God who sees the hidden places still works on every side. I may not know the hour yet, I may not know the path, but the one who wrote my promise according to your faith be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. I will keep believing, I will keep my stand. The God who still does wonders still has me in his hands. What I have not seen yet, I still believe today. My miracle is on the way. My miracle is on the way. My miracle is on the way. My answer is not far. What God has spoken over me will still become what he declared. Though I wait in faith and trembling, though I have not seen it yet, the hand of God is moving now. My miracle is on the way. My miracle is on the way. And I will not lose heart now. The God who started something in me will still bring it all about. What heaven spoke above my life will not fail or fade away. I will trust the hand of mercy. My miracle is on the way. On the way. On the way. My miracle is on the way.